Hey everyone, it's Gabriel with the Cleveland Crunch, and you are watching Crunchland.
Welcome to Crunchland, where the turf ignites. Cleveland's champs, we own the Knights. Kicking goals, we strike with flair. Indoor kings, none compare. Headers fly, the crowd's alive. Dribbling fast, we always thrive. From the penalty spot to the final whistle's call, Crunchland rocks, we got it all.
Welcome to Crunchland, the official podcast of the Cleveland Crunch. And here's your host, Chris Akin.
It is Crunchland, and I, of course, am your host, Chris Akin, and we are back. We are getting ready for the home opener coming up in just a couple of weeks. But before we get to that, we have another game that is coming up tomorrow as you watch this, and here to talk all about it is the man, my favorite Crunch player, number 19 out there for you. He is Gabriel Pewu. Pewu, how are you, brother?
I'm good, Chris. How are you?
I'm good, man. Now, I'm going to tell you up front, man, I've been debating how to approach you with this because I know for a fact that if I come at you and just say, man, what a game you played and talk all about your game, you ain't hearing it. You're gonna say, no, it's all about the team. So I'm going to start there, but I'm going to lead to your game because you had an amazing game, which we will get to. But let's start with the game itself. Let's start with the team. Obviously, this was a very dominant performance. I mean, you guys had this game from about the first minute on. It just seemed like you broke their spirit in a way. You know, I mean, it really seemed. I watched the whole thing twice. I'm going to tell you, not longer than 3 minutes into the game, it was over. At least to me, it just felt that way. So let's start there, man. For you as a player, as somebody that is on the team, talk about the importance of that win to kind of set the tone for the entire season.
Yeah, it was it was definitely important. Just with the season that we had last year, we have a standard and we have a goal, and we never want our standard to drop, regardless of who we play. We want to keep our standard high. So, just that first match, it was away. We had to travel, and away games are never easy. But yeah, it was just important just to set the tone, and also, set the tone for ourselves. Let the league know that our standard isn't dropping. We're still at the high competitive level that we are. But then also, just looking back at us for a lot of the new guys that we have as well. If I'm sure that you saw that we have a couple of new guys in the rotation that are getting time, and extremely excited to have them within the squad. But then, we keep our standards high in training, but I think it also is important for those new guys to see that we keep the standards high in the match as well. So it was important all around, and I think we went there, and it wasn't. By our standards, it wasn't the best match that we've ever had. I think there's still a lot of things to work on, and that we will work on throughout the season. But definitely a good starting point for our team.
Sure. It's interesting, though, as a fan watching you guys play in this game, it did not feel like last year's team. It seemed, and tell me if I'm wrong on any of this, but it seemed, I don't want to say more focused, because God knows you guys were focused last year, but it just seemed like, I don't know, almost military style of this is what we got to do. Let's get out there and do it. And I'm not only talking about the scope of the game. I'm talking about individual line changes and plays, and everything just seemed a little more like regimented, if that makes any sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think some of that is true. Just with we have a lot of guys who have been in the squad already, so we already have the goals in mind. We have the mentality, and we know what we're supposed to do out there. We've been with Tone. I believe it's going to be his third season coaching us. And he has a style of play that he wants to implement. He has a way we have a way that we want to play. And 3 years into this with Tone, I think that we have that continuity, we have that cohesiveness. And now it's just a matter of getting the new guys up to speed in matches and in trainings as quickly as possible how we want to play. So I think a lot of the new guys have been doing very, very well in terms of learning the indoor game, learning where they need to be, and how how we want to play. But yeah, I think to a certain extent, we know exactly what we're supposed to be doing on the pitch, and tell them make sure that we learn that in training, especially for the new guys too. So I think you're right to say that. We know what we're supposed to do, and we know what we're not supposed to do, and we try to do what we're supposed to do as much as possible.
Sure. Is it more difficult? And I mean, I've played sports, but on the the amateur level, not certainly not at your level, but I've played sports enough to know that when you go into a new season, you're not only trying to set the tone, but like you mentioned earlier, you're trying to work in new people, new situations, probably new line changes, new plays,
Mhm.
etc. With that said, and I'm going to ask you one that I asked Admir as well. How difficult is it for you as a player to have the trust in the young guys? Does that come immediately, or does that take a little while? A few matches to understand what they bring to the table, so that you know what you can feed them for goals or passes or what have you to firm up the team.
Yeah, I think, like anything, I think trust is built over time. But we had, a month and some change before our first match, and I feel like we've built a lot of trust with, a lot of the new guys that we have on our team. So no, I think trust is built over time, but at the same time, I think, you know, we have the guys that you saw, we have trust in them, and I think we have everyone is here for a reason. I'll say it like that. Everyone's here for a reason, and you wouldn't be in this squad training with us, you wouldn't be playing in matches if you know we didn't know the type of caliber of player that you are. So I think, there's just, in a way, you can say there's this blind trust of, hey, if you're on this team, we know the quality that you have, so I'm going to kind of trust you in any situation. Now we have to see it when it comes to the match, and when I put you in this trusting situation, are you going to burn me, or are you going to
Right.
execute at the end of the day? But I think trust is built over time, but it's been pretty easy to trust these new guys. They've been on it. They've been willing to learn, taking every bit of advice from Tone and other players, and been picking up on the game pretty quickly. So it's pretty easy to trust them.
Sure. Do you personally, when you're out there on the pitch playing, do you like, if you see an opening, do you just go for the opening, or do you even for a split second think, "Ah, I wish that was Admir, or I wish that was Giannis or something." You know what I mean?
I don't even think like that. If there's an open play, there's an open guy. I mean, it could be Musa playing forward, and I see him open. Like I'm playing Musa. I don't really care about what guy is there, because like I said, I trust all of our players. I know that they're going to try to do the right thing for the team and the right thing in the moment, and it might not always work out, but I think that's where you get in trouble, where you don't start to trust guys, or you see a guy and you're like, maybe I shouldn't pass it to him because he might not finish. Sometimes that player, and players pick up on that.
Hmm.
When you don't want to play them the ball, in certain situations it makes sense. Like, hey, Giannis is getting double teamed here. It makes no sense for me to play him the ball. But players can pick up on when they're open and you just don't want to give them the ball because maybe they messed up last time, their touch was bad, they misplaced a one touch pass. I think that's a detriment to any team, because
Sure.
sometimes that player needs that confidence. Sometimes they need that 1v1 chance to give them the confidence to go and score the goal. Now their confidence is up, and that only boosts the team. So I really don't, doesn't matter who's playing, doesn't matter what's going on. If a player's open and he has the better opportunity than I have, I'm going to pass it off to that player.
Sure. Well, let me play devil's advocate off what you just said there. Let's say you get a new guy who's new to the team,
Yeah.
and a couple of passes in are just, flubbed, missed, whatever. And I'm not saying that even happened. I'm just throwing it out there.
Mhm.
How do you get past that to develop that same trust? Like, and again, I know I'm throwing Admir. Why not? He's the MVP, for God's sakes. But if you put the ball into Admir, odds are likely it's going to hit the back of the net. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just a given because he's that good. And you as well. A lot of people that I see you creeping into the middle a lot, and I see people getting it to you. And obviously the goals are there. With a new guy who is in and is learning, and not necessarily learning the game, but learning crunch way of playing the game,
Mhm.
it's not a crazy thought that they're gonna miss a couple because they're not gonna be quite in the
Right.
right position or not because they're new. That said, how do you, as the experienced leader on the team, not get it in your head? Man, this guy blew three assists that I had so far today. How do you get past that to continually trust him until he gets to the level that he needs to get to?
I think that's just continuously playing that person the ball in that situation. You know, when it comes to things like that, it's just learning moments. When I first started, I wasn't the greatest either. And I wasn't in a lot of positions that I need to be in. So I think it just comes down to, teachable moments. Yes, that person should have been there. Yes, they should have finished that goal, this and the third. But at the end of the day, like I said before, if that guy's open 10 times out of 10, if you're open back post and I have a clear path to play you the ball, I'm going to play you the ball. So whether it's, your positioning or how you're striking the ball to score, or what getting the run timing of the run, whatever it is, I'm going to continuously teach you, hey, this is what you need to do, this is where you need to be. And like I said, I trust all our players. All of our players are quality, and over time I know that they'll get it.
Mm-hmm.
So it just, like I said, it's just time. It just takes time, like everything does. And it's difficult, coming in as a new guy to an already kind of established team. Especially like kind of figuring out your role and carving out your role. But like I said, man, I think over time that trust will just continue to grow and grow. And like I said, I have trust in all my players that I'm sure you'll mess up once, you'll mess up twice, you'll mess up three times. I know that fourth, fifth time it'll be a goal. And that'll give you the confidence to continue and just being better at your craft. So
Sure. Pewu, let me ask you this, man, and I hate going to this topic, but I have to until until we get into the season a little bit. Obviously, the end of last season,
uh,
awful, awful. We all hate it. We're all, you know, I've talked to three or four guys already this year. No one has watched the game, watched the match.
me neither.
Have you
No,
watched? No.
nah. I have yet to watch that match. I haven't looked back at it at all.
Where are you guys mentally with that? Is that a fuel? Is it fuel that it just ended not the way? Quite honestly, maybe it's our own fault for putting way too, like, I can only speak for
Nah.
me as a fan. I was already counting on the ceremony, when the match started, and then obviously it went the way it went. Is it fuel to you guys' fire this year? And that's one part of it. And the other part of it is, again, I want to go back to the new guys. The new guys are going to feel the tension that you guys have toward not having that happen again, which puts a lot of pressure on them to maybe be better than they would be if they were on the Pittsburgh team or the Lansing team or something that hasn't proven it yet at the top level. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yeah, no. To answer your first question, I definitely think it's fuel for the team. It's funny because as like a collective group, I don't think we've like really even talked about it. I know I've talked about it individually with some guys, but I definitely think in the back of our heads is definitely fuel. Even though we haven't really collectively talked about it as a team. I know for myself it's definitely fuel. I don't want to get to that point and to have the result that we did last season, but also I think it's just a good moment to reflect as well, and to realize that you know it's a privilege to get to that point, and to get to that point we have to take care of business each and every week. I look at this, I look at seasons as like war in a sense, for lack of better terms.
Sure.
We want to win the war at the end of we want to win the war, which is the trophy at the end of the season. But there are countless amounts of battles before you can win the war. And I just look at that as we have to win every single battle in front of us. So I try not to kind of delve and look too far into the future, because that future is impossible if we don't take care of every battle before that. So to answer that question, I definitely think it's fuel for the squad, definitely fuel for myself, but something that we think of, but it's not too busy on our minds, because honestly, every single week is a new opponent, a new challenge, and we need to take care of those challenges. Kind of speaking to the new guys, I'm sure I'm sure there's some aspect they can feel that pressure. But I think, like I said, with the quality that we have in our squad, I think all of us put pressure on ourselves to perform at the highest level day in, day out. Just and that stems from training. I mean, we had training last night, and all of our training sessions are intense, whether it's more tactical, whether it's, we play a little bit more, fluid. But I think, we have a standard that we uphold. We have not only as a team, but I feel like personally, a lot of guys have personal backgrounds. They played here, they played for this school, that school, they did this, they did that. And I feel like all of our players just have a certain standard that they want to upkeep. And we try to tell that to the new guys, like, hey, you're here for a reason. We know you're a quality player, but just be confident in yourself and prove that, and show that on the pitch. You know what I mean? So I think, the new guys definitely feel that pressure, and there can be some tension with that. But I think we also as a team do a good job of just letting them know, like, hey, yeah, we might get on you at this point or this moment, but we're only doing that for your betterment. We're only doing that because this is training, and this is the time to mess up, and this is the time to potentially, get on you for a misplaced pass, or hey, you're 1v1, you should be finishing that or putting that on frame. But we only do that so because when we get to the match, then we have a performance like we did, against Red Cedar, where, guys are finishing the left and right, guys are in the places that they need to be. So, it's always going to be a little bit of tension, but I think, it is for the better.
Right on. One last question about the Red Cedar match before we move on to your personal game. In the middle of the game, of the match somewhere, there was, and again, this was just from watching it on the TV, but there was something going on where their coach was screaming and yelling and like pointing at the ref and whatnot. Do you know what was going on there? Because they never said it on the thing, what actually was going on.
If I'm being honest, I think the coach was mad about maybe a call. Like, maybe I think we got a call and something similar happened to them and they didn't get the call and the coach was yelling. I really don't remember. If I'm being honest, I really don't don't like really remember too many of those things unless they're like really, really major, like a real fight breaks out. When I'm in match mode, I'm really just focused on us and what's in play. I really don't put anything too much into like the outside field antics. At the end of the day, it's 6v6 on the pitch, and it's us versus them. And I really don't care about the other team, if I'm being completely honest. I really only care about us and what's going on with us. So yeah, I'm sure it was just some little dispute between him and the ref, and people get heated, and it's a heated moment, heated time. So, I'm sure that's what happened, but I really don't even know the ins and outs. I have to go and probably ask someone else and ask them to see what happened. So,
right on. Yeah. Fair enough, man. Well, Pewu, let's do this. Let's take a quick break here. Let's let the bills get paid, as they say. And while we take the break, I encourage everybody to go over to theclevelandcrunch.com, get your tickets for the opener at the Wolstein Center. We need to see about 11,000 people. Would that make sense, Pewu?
Sell it out.
There we go. So go get your tickets while we pay the bills, and we will be back with Gabriel Pewu in just a minute right here on Crunchland.
Hey, pinball wizards and arcade aficionados. Ready for a trip down memory lane, or maybe just a blast into the now? Welcome to Pinball PA, where we've got more than just games. We've got a time machine. With over 420 games, that's 200 plus pinball machines and another 200 plus arcade games, stretching all the way from the 1940s to the latest and greatest. Whether you're here for nostalgia or novelty, we've got you covered. And guess what? No quarters, no tokens. Just pay the admission fee and it's all you can play. Perfect for birthday parties, team building events, or those special educational STEM and STEAM field trips. Need a spot for some spontaneous fun? No reservations are needed. Just come on down to the Hopewell Shopping Center at 2284 Broadhead Road, Suite 10B in Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. For more information, check out our site at www.pinballpa.com or give us a ring at 412-423-8532. Pinball PA, where every play is a free play.
Right back here on Crunchland, the official podcast of the Cleveland Crunch. And before we even start talking, Pewu, let's get some 19 jerseys out there for the Wolstein Center. The guys over in the office gave me a promo code Crunchland. If you want to get a 19 jersey, which you should, go over to arrivoathleticwear.com/Cleveland Crunch. Put in the code Crunchland, get your jersey, put a 19 and Pewu, P-E-W-U on the back, and you'll save 20% on the jersey. And I don't know, I'm going to make an assumption, and I might look real stupid for saying this, but I'm going to imagine if Pewu sees a couple of brand new jerseys out there in January, he'll come over and sign them for you, yeah?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So let's get some Pewu jerseys out there. One more time, it is arrivoathleticwear.com/Cleveland Crunch, or you can just go to the Crunch website and click shop. And 20% off if you use the code Crunchland. That's a pretty good deal. So go and get it. And talking about going and getting it, now I'm going to make you do what you don't want to do, Pewu. I'm going to make you talk about your game because and again, this is outsider looking in, and I want your perspective on this. You played, in my opinion, a different game than what I saw you play last year. And what I mean by that is you were a little more in the middle than like last year. It seemed like you were a lot more on the outsides, either working angles or doing a lot of work getting assists and stuff last year. Seemed like throughout this match, you were in the middle a lot. I mean, you were really kind of almost directing traffic on a lot of the plays. Talk about your game, and was what I saw, A, is what I saw sort of accurate, and B, is that a growth piece that you wanted to see from your own personal game?
I mean, it's funny enough that you say that. I didn't think I played that well, if I'm being completely honest.
Come on, man.
Just me personally looking at my own performance, but playing in the middle a little bit more. I wouldn't necessarily say it's something that I would say, speaking from Tone's perspective, I probably shouldn't be there as much as I should have been during the match. But realistically, I think, different matches call for different things. And I think just a lot of times within that match, it made sense for me to be there just the way things played out or the way that they're positioned against us. So I think it's a little bit to do with both. Obviously, I do like being in the middle a little bit more because sometimes it does give me the freedom to, again, come out wide, maybe get a 1v1 chance. Sometimes I'm not in the middle and someone else is, and sometimes that gives me an opportunity to, get a layoff from someone for a one-time finish. Often what I'm doing, and I'm the one laying it off to someone. Sometimes I'm the one to, come in the middle and kind of, have that one-touch shot. So I think it's a little bit of both, a little bit of me kind of trying to elevate my game and evolve it a little bit. I don't think I'm never the type of player that wants to stay stagnant. I also always want to grow my game. So I don't think I can do the exact same thing I did last year. I have to add some type of new element to my game to keep opponents on their toes, and to just be better for the team overall. Always look at my performance and how I can impact the team, whether it's offensively, defensively, in transition. So I think a little bit, a little bit by the way the game played out, a little bit on my own volition, and then a little bit of me being out of position too, which some probably doesn't like. But yeah, no, definitely always trying to elevate and just evolve my game as much as possible.
Sure. What are you tasked to be as a player? Are you tasked to be a target player? Are you tasked to be a high pressure defender? Are you tasked to be a facilitator more than a goal scorer? I mean, what is your function on paper versus what we're doing on the pitch?
Yeah, I think just in indoor, I think we're all tasked with it all. I have to defend because if I don't defend, it's a 4v5 and, we're down numbers and they're have a higher chance of scoring. So I think encompassing indoor is just you have to be all of those things. I think to the way that we like to play, we like to press a lot. So I always have to be, I'm the first that first line of defense. So I'm always willing to press and try to win the ball higher up the field. But I would say, offensively, I'm definitely more of a target man, someone that, you can play, you're supposed to play into their feet and kind of run off for a layoff, or I can spin and turning and get a shot off, or potentially, try to be a facilitator. So I think my game is truly all encompassing. I think on paper you could say I'm the target man to hold the ball up and to lay it off, but oftentimes
Mhm.
you're going to see me turn a defender and get my own shot. You're going to see me try to facilitate to find another guy, and you're always going to see me press. I think that's one thing I'd rather not defend back near our goal. I'd rather
Sure.
defend as high as possible near their goal. Hopefully get the ball back and then circulate it around. So I think all encompassing about paper. I guess you can say I'm more of a target man.
Sure. I can only speak for the match that we just had, but it seemed like they didn't understand your speed. And what I mean by that is you're a lot bigger than most of the guys in your position. I mean, you're taller and bigger. And I saw numerous times where you would take off and they were just running like their hair was on fire trying to catch you because they couldn't catch you. I don't think they understood your speed. Is that accurate, or do you see that a lot?
Um, well, that's an interesting question. I don't know because I just sprint. If I'm being honest, I always want to be the first one to the ball, and to get the ball. So I don't know if teams, kind of mistake me for my speed or not, if I'm being completely honest. I know, I know there aren't that many guys faster than me, on my team or I think in the league for like a dead
Sure.
sprint. Especially, when it comes to like getting my body in front of the balls. I think, I have not only the pace, but then also the strength to get in front, but then also for kind of to shield the ball and get the ball in my favor. So it's something I really don't think about too often. I try to use kind of my entire body to my advantage, whether it's using my long legs to get a deflection or to get the ball back, or using my pace or using my strength. So yeah, I don't know if teams mistake my speed. I hope they continue to mistake my speed if they do, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I really don't know.
Yeah, you hear that, other teams? He's very slow, very
Yeah,
slow. Game plan him for that.
lethargic.
Nice. Well, Pewu, obviously, man, last year, a great season for you. You recognized
Thank
as an
you.
all league forward. You're, one of the top goal scorers in the entire league, let alone on this team. For you, and again, this is talking from a minor league sports or amateur sports to pro sports, and I was all state and all that, and playing baseball,
Yeah, that's not
and
that's no easy feat. All
well, it's
state,
not.
hey
It's definitely
man,
not.
you gotta
I
gas
mean, it
yourself
definitely takes work.
up.
But that said, once you do that, like I remember I was all league my junior and my senior year of high school. Junior year, I was better than my senior year because, quite honestly, my senior year, I got in my head a little bit that I was the best guy on the team, and I didn't play as well as I did when I was still hungry for it. For you, you get that you got to all league status. What do you go back and look at and say, okay, well, I got to here, but now I want to either stay here or get to even a higher level? What did you look at over the break and work on for your game to make you better?
Um, if I'm being completely honest, I really don't care about my individual stats.
Hmm.
And I know that kind of sounds crazy coming from a forward. Like, yes, obviously I want to score. Obviously, if I have the opportunity to score and I don't score, I'm going to be pissed. If I don't make the pass for an assist that I know I should be making, I can make, I'm going to be pissed. So obviously, like I want to score, I want to assist, I want to help my team out as much as possible. But at the end of the day, the most important thing to me is the trophy. I want to be a part of the group that holds the trophy at the end of the year. If you ask me, going back to last year, you can take away the goals, you can take away the assists, you can take away the all league status, you can take away all of those personal accolades. If my team was able to get a trophy, I would trade all of those things for a trophy. So if I'm being honest, I really don't look too far into my stats or anything like that. And I think, the less that you look at stats and the less that look at, your personal success, I think the more that it will come. And I think the more that you'll help out the team. So I think, my stats last year are a product of me just trying to do as much as possible for the team, but then also my teammates putting me in great positions to and trusting me and having the confidence in me to, be able to finish the ball. So I in terms of things that I work on, I always work on hold up play. I always work on finishing. Working on a little bit more of technical things, quick touches, playing in tighter spaces and things of that nature. Just because indoor is is a smaller field, so it's a lot tighter spaces. So things like that. But yeah, no, I think if I have the same mentality as I had last year of I just need to help the team defensively as much as possible. I need to finish the shots that are given to me and the chances that I create and my teammates create for me. If I continue to create as many chances as I possibly can for my teammates, I think all those things will take care of themselves at the end of the season. My goal each and every week is to be the best player that I can be the best player for my team, and to get a team win at the end of every week. So I really don't, if I'm being honest, I really don't care or look into that stuff as much.
You say that now, but if you go like three matches with no goals,
Yeah, no, for sure,
somehow I
for
think
sure.
I'll get a different answer from you.
Yeah, for sure. But if I'm being honest, if I go 3 matches with 0 goals, um, and we win all of them, I'm happy. Now, personally, am I going to be happy with my performance? No, I'm going to go back to the film and say, okay, Giannis put me in here and I didn't finish the ball. What could I do better? Here, I could have turned my defender, made a better decision. What didn't I do right? I could have assisted this guy here. Why didn't I make this pass? Or what angle can I, take next time to make sure that this pass is on point? So, if they come with wins, 100%, I don't, I really don't care. Now, if they come with losses, then yeah, I'm going to say, obviously I didn't score, so I'm not doing my job at the end of the day. And then two, what else can I do to make sure that I can do my job? So, if we win and I don't score, it's a little bit different than if we lose and I don't score. And even if we do win, I'm still not doing my job by not scoring because I didn't contribute and potentially on the stat sheet. But I think, guys have amazing games without scoring many goals or don't score at all. It might not be on the stat sheet, but if you go to the match and watch, they had an amazing performance. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's a double-edged sword. I feel like I kind of at the end of the day, but truthfully, I really, like I said, I don't really care about my stats, man. I'd rather just the team, get a win. I want to win the war. I want to win the war by any means possible.
Well, I certainly hope that we are going to see a lot of wins in these battles as we get through this war. Obviously, tomorrow or Saturday, 2 days from now, as we record this, you guys have Fort Wayne, and then certainly September 10th, January 10th, we have Chicago at the Wolstein Center, which is going to be very exciting, but we don't want to look past Fort Wayne yet before we don't want to look to the Wolstein Center. I know that's what you guys hear every day. Wolstein.
Yeah.
You got to worry about Fort Wayne right now. We'll worry about the
Yeah.
Wolstein after that. But last thing, man, to wrap this up, what are you kind of anticipating for the year? Not necessarily for you, but for the team. Is it any less of a win this year if you don't go, I don't know, undefeated? I'll throw it all the way up there and see where it lands.
Um, I mean, obviously the goal is to not lose any matches.
Sure.
It's a lot easier said than done. But I think just looking throughout the year, obviously just end of the year goal. I think everyone on the team will tell you this. It's not like new information. We want to win the trophy. But also I just want to, for this year in our team, I want to integrate some newer guys. We have a lot of talent on this team. So I'm really excited just to see the new additions on our team grow. I'm excited to see, how they mesh as the year goes on, because like you said, it was just the first match, and I feel like, some of the newer guys already meshed extremely well. And those are just a small sample size of the new players that we have. We have even more players that are on our squad as well. So I'm excited to see, everyone really integrate and to just grow throughout the season, and see how well they perform over the season. I think, we have a really, really good mixture of experience and also new players. And really just want to see how that evolves over the season. So I would say that's probably one of the biggest things I'm looking forward to. And honestly, looking forward to, just trying to go all the way, with this unit and with this squad. Like I said, I think we have the best squad in the league. I'll continue to say that every year because that's truly how I feel. And yeah, I'm just excited to see how this season turns out.
Right on. Well, we're certainly excited to watch it with you and participate with our voices, I guess. That's about the best we can do. But we're off to a great start. The Crunch is 1-0. Fort Wayne on Saturday. Obviously, Chicago at the Wolstein on January the 10th. And we will catch up again, Pewu. Now that you're my texting buddy, we'll keep in touch and we'll do this
Absolutely.
again, man. But as always, man, the great all-league forward of your Cleveland Crunch, Gabriel Pewu. Thank you for joining me here on Crunchland, Pewu.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Chris.
Crunchland rocks, we got it all. Crunchland rocks, we got it all. Crunchland rocks, we've 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 got it all. Welcome to Crunchland, where the turf ignites. Cleveland's champs, we own the Knights.